we'll get to that shortly. Alrighty, guys, welcome to a special Monday night live with Golf Days Australia. Thanks everyone for joining tonight. We've got a really good guest coming up. So, Steve-O, first off, mate, happy birthday.
Cheers, Nate. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. It's been a good day so far. I had the day off work, so just cruised around with the misso for a bit. She had a day off too, so got the kids off to school, and then did a bit of lunch, and mate, it was a cracker day. It's good.
That's awesome, mate. Father's Day into your birthday. You must have rounded out a few presents.
Yeah, got a few, mate. I do pretty well to separate Father's Day and birthday. Sometimes it lands on Father's Day, but yeah, they look after me pretty well.
That's awesome. All right, let's get into tonight's one. Firstly, a reminder for those that are watching live on Facebook tonight, we use StreamYard as our studio here, so our online studio, which means you can ask questions along the way as well. If you go into the description, there's a little link there. You've just got to click on that link and give us permission to put your name and your photo, and we can bring it up there so that you can ask our guest each week. You only have to do it once, and it stays in the system as well. So just go into there. If you want to ask any questions, go for it, and we will try and make this as interactive as possible as always. Couple of shout outs. Firstly, mate, the Cobra Puma giving away the Speed Zone Extreme driver is going off at the moment.
Yeah, mate, that's had a lot of views on Facebook, and I can see a heap of people are actually following the instructions this time, liking, sharing, tagging a mate, and also jumping on Instagram and taking a screenshot of them following Cobra Puma Golf as well on Instagram. So yeah, shout out to those guys for jumping in and getting on board the competition. Looking forward to giving that away in about a week or so time, isn't it?
Yeah, massive prize. So again, like, share, and tag. Go find the post. It's there pinned in our announcements on our Facebook page on the Golf Days Australia Advice and Discussion. Just go like, share, and tag. And if you want a bonus entry, jump over to Cobra Puma on Instagram, their Cobra Puma AU page, and like their page and screenshot it, throw it up. Easy as that. So we're going to draw that after the US Open. So exciting things there. What are you drinking tonight, mate?
I've got a Sly Fox tonight, Ferrell's Brewing Co.
Nice.
Yeah, not too bad. I've had a couple of these already. These are nice little session ale. It's good.
Yeah,
enjoy it.
Nice. So I've got the
drink responsibly,
New England,
obviously.
That's right, the New England IPA, obviously thanks to sessionset.com. So they're obviously looking after us with some craft beers. They do the subscription package, so jump over there for their deals. They just gave away their big Father's Day packages yesterday. So they'll have more, and we'll have a code for you guys coming up soon as well, which is exciting. And another shout, obviously, to the netreturn.com.au. There was a bit of chatter about the netreturn.com.au this week. We had the Father's Day deal. We gave away a voucher for their online store, and I threw up my review up there as well. So it was just a raw review. First time I've ever used it. I'd and ahed about buying it, over the last 12 months because it is a premium price, but we've uploaded the video to the YouTube page, and people can make their own mind up, and hopefully that gives people a bit of an idea about what they're looking at that product. But it's a premium product, and I had 4 mates over on Saturday night, and we gave it a rip, and there were some terrible swings there, and it held up pretty well, mate.
So side barriers came into play there.
The side barriers weren't up, and they were quickly up because I had one ball that we still don't know where it landed. We heard it bounce 5 times in the shed, and nobody knows where it is. So. Yeah, so the side barriers went up. So HT, thanks for that, and obviously a big shout out to Dint Putters. Their 10% off that they had for their Father's Day, and their flags that they do as well, and hopefully their new putter coming out soon, mate.
Yeah, they got some new products coming out as well. I know the putter that he designed shouldn't be far away as well. But look out for Dint Putters as well. Throwing some new products out there.
Good stuff. Well, let's rip into tonight's one. Tonight's interview. He's up early this morning, so we don't want to keep him waiting too much. Tonight's guest, he's got a stellar resume. The travel that he does is incredible. He's played all around the world on every tour that there is. He's had over a dozen wins. I think it's 14, 15 professional wins. Europe, Asia, Canada, Australia. He won the Maybank Championship in a playoff last year in Malaysia. He's currently over in the States prepping for the US Open. Massive winged foot coming up soon. So, Scotty Hend, welcome to the show, mate.
How are you, boys? Happy birthday, Steve. I didn't know it was your birthday. So.
No, cheers, mate. Appreciate that.
It's the best present he could have, Hendy.
Are you How old are you, mate? So everyone knows.
Mate, 36. 36. I'd say birthdays are pretty good luck, mate. The more you have, the longer you live. So,
Well, you just got to make sure you keep putting that stuff into you so you don't get too old on the inside. Just make sure you keep up your alcohol consumption.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting up there and maybe getting on the Champions Tour in a few years' time.
Hey, Hendy's not too far away from there.
Hey, he's up 3 years. It's a long way away.
What time is it over there, mate? 6:30 a.m.
6:30 in the morning. Sun isn't up yet, so it's quite early. But like I said before, for us guys, getting up early is always a good thing for a golf pro, unless you're in the late tee times on a Sunday.
Yeah, that's not a bad time. If you got to sleep in on a Sunday and you're still playing golf, that's always a good thing. You live in Florida? Are you based in Florida?
Yeah, we've been here since 2004. So same place, haven't moved. It's quite nice. It's very similar to a Queensland sort of climate, and city's a lot like Brisbane.
Okay. Yeah, because you came out of Nudgee, or you're a member of Nudgee?
Yeah, I still am. And I'm a Queensland boy through and through. I've lived everywhere. I've lived in Wagga. I've lived in Melbourne. Lived in Northern Territory. So I've been all over the place with my dad being in the Air Force. So, I'm used to moving around.
Yeah, well, yeah, you must be. You've got to be the most travelled golfer out of Australia, haven't you?
Well, yeah, there's a few guys now that are starting to get out and get around a bit. So it's good to see guys we have to, because the Australian tournament schedule is quite slim. So guys got to get out and travel more now. Yeah,
and how many passport stamps do you reckon you've got?
Well, I've got 2 passports, 2 Australian passports, and I keep ripping through them. I've got a concurrent one which lasts 4 years, and usually smash through that in, well, the visa situation now is good because a lot of electronic visas, but when we used to have to get the visa put in the passport, you'd get through the first passport in about 18 months. So you keep turning them over.
That's insane. I don't know how you do it. So how do you deal with jet lag?
Sleep when you're tired.
Yeah.
It's the old golfer's life is like having a pensioner kip every afternoon. You early tea time or you practice round, you come back, you have a little sleep in front of the TV in the hotel room for 45 minutes to an hour, and then off you go again.
And you got a few platinum frequent flyer cards or what?
Yeah, I got a few. I'm a member of a couple of different airlines, but that doesn't seem to do you any good anymore because this is the way it is now.
Yeah, they make it harder and harder, don't they?
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to, talking US Open prep and everything else, and we're going to get to that later on. I don't want to jump in it too soon. First up, we've got a little bit of an ice-breaking segment, mate. It's called the Quickfire Par 5. So we've got 5 questions for you to reach the hole, all right?
All right.
Do you play in meters or yards?
Meters.
7-iron carry distance, no wind.
174.
It's big. Favorite movie?
Top Gun.
Yes, I love it.
Does the sequel come out next year?
I haven't seen it, but everyone keeps telling me it's awesome.
Yeah. First tee box, you're standing over the ball. What are you thinking?
Depends on what country I'm in. If I'm in India, I'm thinking don't shit myself. In other countries, I'm thinking about just trying to get a nice smooth swing on it.
What are you going to be thinking at Wingfoot on that first hole?
Make sure you get it in the fairway because the green's 3-tier green. I think it's 3 tiers and it's usually super quick. So if you're not in the fairway, you're probably going to 3-putt.
Yep. And how many hole-in-ones you had, mate?
I think 8.
8. Get out of town.
Tournament
hole-in-ones, or they just everywhere?
4 in a tournament, and the most I won for it was $1,500, and never won a car. I'm not a Pete Senior guy or something. Never won a car.
And I've got a bonus question for you. How many double pars have you had?
Oh, plenty. There's usually at least one a year.
At least one a year. I've actually got a letter from the double par. So he's got a letter that he wanted me to read out to you.
Yep.
He said, "Dear Mr. Hend, or can I call you Hendy? Sorry I cannot be there. Unfortunately, I'm in the middle of trying to broker my first official sponsorship deal. I can't say too much, but I do hear you like fast cars and BMW make really fast cars. Anyways, I digress. I just wanted to say thank you for all the love you have shown on my Insta. I know Nate was trying to get you to stir me up, but it has been awesome the way you have embraced your membership to the Double Par Club. I mean, backing it up in such quick succession shows dedication to the cause. So he goes, so don't take any crap from these two choppers interviewing you tonight. One owns white pants, for God's sake. Okay, I must dash. I think they need to know if I want the M5 or M7 included in the contract. Yours in golf, double par.
Well, I had the message the other day. He said, if you get one more this year, I've got a signed ball. I said, well, box it up, mate, because it's definitely coming.
Double par. If you don't know what we're talking about, jump on Instagram, search double par, and have a look at that page, because it's been pretty funny. It's all in tongue in cheek, obviously, and a number of pros are in there making comments and liking when they're tagged in the post as well. So it's good to see. And our girl Amy Walsh, who was a co-podcast host, and now she's over playing in Europe. She had a podcast the other day, and she sent it directly to us just so that we knew, so that we didn't miss it. So good on you, Ames.
All right. So getting into it now, how did you get into golf? Where did it all start for you?
Mate, my old man played golf around Muri Golf Club in Raymond Terrace, and he asked me if I'd just come out and caddy for him, because I guess I was a bit of a pain in the ass, like most young kids are, and he just wanted to stop me getting in trouble. So he asked me to come out, drag the bag around, and I walked around Muri Golf Course like caddying for him, and there's kangaroos, koalas, cockatoos, and all the animals sort of drew me into it. It wasn't really the golf at first. I was just being outside and seeing all the animals. So
the wildlife there.
Yeah, that's how I got sort of hooked into it first, was seeing all the animals jumping around and doing stuff, which my dad and his 3 playing partners weren't too happy about every time I saw something.
Mid-swing, you're like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. How old were you then?
12, 13, just walking around, and I didn't really get into the game until I was around 14, but it was just something that your mum would say, well, there's your son, take him. And my dad would make me sit outside of the clubhouse while he played the poker machines, had a few beers, and he'd give me a pie and a Coke.
Yeah. And so you picked up the clubs and just fell in love with it, or how did that progression sort of happen in your junior side?
I was more of a cricket and baseball fan. So I played cricket and baseball, and then I guess the natural progression with obviously having the bat in your hand and the 45-degree angle instead of just being a bit more upright, it's just one of those things that happens, from swinging a baseball bat to hitting a cricket ball. It's just hand-eye coordination, and it's just a different angle of the golf club.
Yeah, timing, hand-eye coordination, and all goes from there. And so going through a bit further now, obviously turning pro in 1997. Tell us about how that transition happened for you. Was there a time where, and this is probably a question we've asked most guys, did it just come naturally for you? Was that always just going to happen after that? Or was there a point where you just like, I've got to go all in, or I've got to find something else to do?
Well, I wasn't a guy who went straight to a Q school. I was a guy who went through the Australian PGA trainee system. So I did my 3 years of working. My last year and a half, 2 years, I didn't work too much in the shop. I was more out playing. So I started doing the traineeship, wanted to get some sort of credentials behind me just in case you get injured or something doesn't work out with the golf. And I got an Australian tour card given to me through being the top 5 Australian trainees in Australia in my 3rd year, and then I just went and played the Australian tour, and it's just been a bit of drive and wanting to do it from then. Yeah,
and you've had a couple of wins early on in the South Australian PGA and the Toyota Southern Classic. Then 2002 Vic Open, or the Canadian version.
And
the Queensland Open. Out of those 4 wins, what was the most monumental win for you?
Well, I won the Toyota Southern Classic twice.
Yeah.
There you are.
So
what was it? Tell me what the Toyota Southern Classic was.
It's at Cronulla.
Okay.
Down at Shark Park there. And it's just like a Von Nider tour event. So it was we used to drive down from Brisbane and just stay down there and play that tournament. Actually, the first time I went to that tournament, we drove down and I got my tee time mixed up. I thought I was off in the afternoon. I was actually off in the morning, and I drove my mate for his tee time, and the guy goes, "Where were you this morning?" I went, "I don't know. I'm teeing off this afternoon." He goes, "No, mate, you're 5 hours late." So that was my first experience at that tournament. So I was it's a long drive from Queensland.
Did you do it again? Did you ever miss a tee time again since then?
I haven't missed a tee time since then. No. No, but that wasn't from being hungover or anything. That was actually honestly thinking I had to. Yeah. It's just stupidity. It's the way it
that
goes.
hurts even more. At least if you had an excuse, you could use the excuse. But
what hurts more is when you're actually dropping the guy off that you're rooming with, and you're off pretty much the same time he is.
And he didn't think to give you a little buzz because he's seen your name in on the tee sheet.
Well, what we did is we actually looked at the tee sheet on the side of the tour hut, and they had first day and second day tee times up, and for some reason I just looked at the wrong sheet, and that's just the way it goes, But like I said, it's a nice drive down to Sydney, and nice drive back. It was great.
So I think I read somewhere that you said the Queensland Open was something special for you.
Yeah, Queensland Open is one of the most special tournaments for me, for sure, 100%. I mean, to win your own state open where you're born and so forth, and then seeing the names that are on the trophy, it's pretty awesome. It's one of the things I hold dearest.
Yeah, and what about the Vic Open over in Canada? Was it good to win overseas?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I've been very close a few times on the Canadian tour, and it's the same week I got married. The wife and I got married on the Wednesday. She actually caddied for me, and then we ended up winning the tournament. And I kept telling her we should have got married the British Open week when I was in the Open. Would have been
better. The honeymoon, huh?
Yeah, well, we haven't had one of those, but golf is a honeymoon, isn't it? For me, anyway.
Right. Yeah, we were talking to Scribs last week about having his missus on the bag as a caddy. How'd you find that? How many times have you had her on the bag?
Oh, she caddied for me a lot on the Canadian tour, and then she's caddied a few PGA Tour events. She actually carried the proper staff bag around. Then she caddied for me in Crane, Montana, the second year when I lost a playoff second year in a row in Cranes. So she's been out there a fair bit and knows a bit about golf. So it's
nice.
Sometimes it's a nice break.
God, making her carry that staff bag, huh?
Oh, well, she insisted.
How many bottles of water did you stack in it?
No, unfortunately, she forgot to take the umbrella out, so that's not my problem.
So after those wins, 2004, 2005, you go over and play the PGA Tour. You gained your card through the Q School, is that right?
Yeah, 04, 05, I was on PGA Tour, and
tell us about those years.
Sorry.
Tell us about those years. Being on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a little bit daunting, a little bit overwhelming. Yeah. It would have been, I guess, the guys coming through the college system sort of get used to all the hype and stuff that goes on it. But when you've come from Australia playing Australian Tour and then playing Canadian Tour, you go to the PGA Tour. It's a whole different sort of ball game. And sometimes you get a little. Well, I can say for a fair while I was overwhelmed by it because all there was people running around wanting to do things for you and please you and do stuff like that instead of what you're used to, doing it all yourself. So trying to get used to that was a bit different. And I would love to have had another 1 or 2 years of trying to be fully exempt and knowing what it entails. I think the experience part does make a big difference.
You had a bit of a reputation on there, being the first foreign player to win the long drive statistic.
Yeah. That year, I think Tiger came second to me that year, but he won the money list and I finished 145. So I'll tell you what, I'll give him 20 yards. I'll give him 20 yards if he gives me 100 spots on the money list. It'd be great.
Yeah. You take that. Did the Yanks didn't like you hitting it that far, or what? Was there a bit of
No, there's none of that, mate. There's none of that. I mean,
what was it? 318.9 yard average.
Yeah, not bad for an Aussie boy.
Is that what you're averaging now?
No, I think I'm averaging about 300 and I can still get it out there 320, 330, but this body, mate, the body, they replace things when they get to the age that I am.
Any injuries to speak of at all, or
no? To be honest with you, I had a little bit of tennis elbow before the lockdown, and then and then a bit of rest and doing other things has sort of made it. I don't know. I wouldn't say go away, but it's definitely decreased in the pain category and hardly ever feel it. So if one thing, the break's been good for most guys' injuries.
Nice.
And then so you do the PGA Tour and you give that a couple of years, and then since 2007 you've predominantly I guess played the Asian Tour. you've dominated the Asian Tour as well pretty well, 10 wins, a heap of cash. Tell us about the Asian Tour and what you enjoy about that tour.
I mean, the golf courses up there are generally the same as what I grew up playing in Australia, like Bermuda grass, like a lot like Queensland sort of golf courses when I played Troppo and stuff. So the grass is not much different from here in Florida and what it is in Brisbane. So to feel comfortable on the golf courses is not a big deal. So I really enjoy it that way. And I got a lot of mates that live in Asia that are from the UK, US, or Australia, and also a lot of really good mates that are Korean guys. I'm pretty tight with all the Korean guys, so I feel very comfortable. I just love playing up there.
Is it your favourite? If you had to choose a favourite tour, I mean, you've done very well on it, but is that the tour that you'd want to play?
Well, yes and no. I mean, obviously, financially, you want to play somewhere where you can make good cash, obviously. But lifestyle-wise, Asia.
If the cash wasn't a question, I guess.
Oh, yeah, Asia for sure, because it's just, I mean, America's great, but it can become a real pain. Europe's great, but it's also very fickle as well. I mean, it's not the same sort of meshing of people and hanging out and having a chat on these different tours.
Do you have a favourite style of course? I mean, you play so many different courses throughout your career. You're very well travelled. Is there a course that you get excited about playing, a style of course?
I do like links golf courses, but usually for me, any golf course with the first tee and an 18th tee is good enough.
Yeah. I like
and a 19th tee for that matter.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not really. I'm more of a stay-at-home barbecue sort of guy. I go to a restaurant. I don't like getting on the sauce at the golf course because in Australia especially, there's too many poking machines. So stay away from that.
Safer back home with a few bottles of red, mate.
Yeah,
don't mind that. Don't mind that.
Biggest win on the Asian Tour, I said before that you've had 10. A few of those have been co-sanctioned with the Euro as well. So the 3 European wins have all been on Asian Tour, on Asian soil. What do you classify as your biggest win on tour?
Hong Kong Open. Hong Kong Open was pretty massive. Once again, that tournament's got a heap of history behind it, and that was the tournament that got me fully exempt into Europe and to play every single event. And Hong Kong, if you've ever been to Hong Kong, it's just an amazing city, and the actual golf course there is a golf course which everybody said that I really shouldn't win on. So it's really nice to win on a course where everybody sort of says that you got no chance.
You won that in playoff. I
did, yeah. Against Angela Kay.
Angela Kay, yeah. So that was 2014. You were the first Australian to win the Asian Tour Order of Merit in 2016.
Yep. That was another great year. I mean, obviously, there's not much I can say that's bad about what's happened for me in Asia, because I've been very fortunate and I've managed to live up to some of the potential that I actually have, which is not quite what I did when I came to the US.
Do you get recognised a bit over there?
Not really. No. I'm just another white guy, mate, just walking around.
Another foreigner walking around.
That's the way it is. I mean, look at Brendan Jones. He's up there killing it in Japan for years and years and years, and he just loves it because he can go up there and play his golf and then just have his life. It's not we're not like a US tour pro. It's
just totally different.
And in the end, we're just golfers. We just walk around. We do everything else, mate. We sleep, we eat, we go to the toilet, whatever.
The fanfare's not over the top like it is in the US, obviously.
No, I mean, I would love to be Tiger Woods, but then I wouldn't want to be.
Yeah. I suppose we hear a fair bit about, he gets like a 2-shot advantage when he's got the crowd with him, and it just like mobbing that fairway as he won his comeback win last year. That would just be absolutely surreal. But obviously, it's a little bit different over in the Asian Tour. That doesn't really happen, and you can go down the supermarket and get your groceries and come back home without an issue.
Yeah,
have you ever been paired up with him?
No, I never played with Tiger, which is unfortunate because I never played well enough to be paired with him. Every tournament I played that he was in, if you weren't in the last well, when he was at his prime, if he went in the last 3 groups
right.
on the weekend, you wouldn't be paired with him because he was always and he only used to play 15 times a year. So he was always in the last couple of groups all the time.
Yeah, I think I saw it was a Joel Damon or whatever got the shits the other week because Cam Smith made a birdie, I think, on the last to mean that those two were paired instead of him being paired with Tiger again. So, he tweeted that out and had a go at Cam and tagged him in there, which is brilliant. Talking about Twitter, mate, you don't mind a bit of social media. You love a bit of Twitter. It keeps you entertained.
Oh, yeah, mate. I love voicing my opinion and pretty much getting people upset. It's what you should be doing on Twitter, isn't it?
It's pretty easy to do, isn't it? It can be a pretty heavy place.
Tell you what, mate, everyone's an expert on everything. It's fantastic.
I think Double Par's getting a bit of curry out of that when Bryson DeChambeau blocked him on Instagram. That was pretty funny.
That happened pretty quick.
I got blocked. I got blocked yesterday by a guy just because I said that the $2,800 mandatory charge for people coming back to Australia was a bit of a joke. People are revving it up on me. So I'm like, well, I'm an Aussie citizen. I may live here in America, but I'm entitled to voice an opinion as well.
Hey, you say that C word at the moment, and you get everyone fired up either way. So
cash,
COVID.
Oh, I thought you were talking cash.
You unfortunately lost the European Masters in back-to-back years, 2016 and 2017 to Alex Noren and Matt Fitzpatrick. You've had a 50-50 playoff record with 2 wins, 2 losses. For the amateur golfer, we have no idea how intense a playoff must be. Take us through what goes on, during a playoff or leading up to a playoff, and how you handle that time, maybe just before teeing off.
Mate, it's like playing your grade match play championship at your home course, and you're on the first tee, and pretty much if you lose the first hole, you lost the match.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. That's how you can put it. And to be in a playoff, you played well, and you sometimes look back at the 72 holes you played before, and you think, well, if I could just save one shot.
You're playing over your head constantly.
Well, and then when I lost to those guys in Cran, Alex holed a long putt as he always does, because that's just what Alex does. But then I had Matt Fitzpatrick right there on the skewer, and I had a 4-footer to win. And for some reason, I just misread it. I actually hit the putt exactly where I wanted to hit it, and it went right to left instead of left to right because it was on like a little bit of a crown
ridge.
And that one sort of got to me more than any other loss because I had it right there, and I was the one who made the mistake, and that was a tough one to get over.
Yeah, I guess it's different if you get beaten in a playoff by someone that's played better than you. But I guess when you look back at that must hurt just as much. You said that there's only one of those playoffs went past the first hole, and that was it against Fitzpatrick. The others all ended on the first hole.
Yeah. Well, when I got to the one last year at the Maybank, I went, well, I've just lost 2 in a row, so third time lucky is how I looked at it.
Yeah.
You've got to be positive. You've got to be positive somehow. And I mean, I know when you get there on the tee, it's what happens there, and whatever happened before, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And you've obviously been well accomplished here. You must have a few stories on life on tour. What's the best thing you've actually seen on a golf course?
Here we go.
Aside from your 8 aces.
Like, I've seen plenty of things on a golf course, and I've heard plenty of stories, and some of them, some on and off stories can't be told. Other stories a bit like, guys in India having to tear towels in half and run off into the trees, and and the rule in India is if you ever go in the trees, never pick up a glove or a towel.
Well, that brings me. We've got a fan question here. Andrew Dalgans, what's the go-to curry in India?
Oh Jesus, mate! I'd usually try and do the vegetarian curries.
Just
vegetarian curries. Well, obviously, if you get the meat curries, you don't know if it's been cooked or how long the meat's been there for or whatever. So we have a lot of vegetarian curries, have a lot of dal and naan bread. It's all good.
Yeah.
Have you ever chucked a club?
Have I ever chucked a club?
On tour, like have we done a Terry Pilkadaris and launched one into the trees and had it caught on camera and then went viral?
Oh, I've never had it caught on camera. I'm a little. I got a little bit more nous than that. I'm a little bit,
I like your reaction then to like, have I ever chucked a club?
Yeah, I was going to say. I was trying to think. Are you trying to talk about 1 or 100? I mean, I played practice rounds with Muzza and Jake McLeod and a few of the boys in Europe just the other week. And in the practice rounds, I was slinging a few around the practice rounds because if you get caught snapping a club, having an indiscretion in Europe is like £500 fine. So I'd like to spend my £500 on wine and not paying for throwing a club. And so if you're going to break one, you just do it really quick and where people can't see it.
Yeah.
How's that at the moment? You mentioned go.
No, I was going to say you've obviously thrown enough. I'm assuming you've learnt to throw them forward, so you don't have to walk back to get it.
Well, like I said to Marcus Fraser, I said, we've got to teach these young guys how to throw a club. You've got to give it the sidearm. You can't give it the over the top because the over the top, you've got a chance of the rotator cuff being injured. So you've got to give it the side sling, which involves more forearm and wrist. You don't bring the shoulder into it. And there's less chance with the side sling of it actually coming out a late release and going left.
Yeah.
You've got to work all these things out.
It's an integral part of the game.
Oh, mate.
Integral part of the game.
And I do find a pitching wedge goes further than a driver when you sling it as well.
Yeah, like it.
And is the sling going to be more protective for the club? There's less chance of it breaking.
Well, I haven't really broken one slinging it. No, it hasn't even. I've been quite lucky because you get it a little bit. It comes in a little bit flatter. It's like a javelin throw. But I have thrown a.
So you haven't done a Jimmy Papadakis and bent your club and then actually used it and then had to call yourself on it?
No. Once I throw one, usually if I throw one and it looks like a suspect, it never gets to start again. It's out of the bag. And then there's been a few times I've walked into the locker room and put 3 or 4 clubs over my knee, and the locker room attendants like looking at me like I'm got some sort of issue. But then I look at him and said, "Well, they weren't working. They've got to be reshafted, mate."
That's right. Fix them up. You just mentioned before about Muzza and Jakey and that playing over there. Do you enjoy that playing with the young kids over there and kind of, showing them the way?
Oh, yeah, it's great. They always call me grandpa. It's ridiculous. I've got no respect, these young guys these days. And they're out there, they're just giving it to me every time. So it's really good because they're obviously very talented, very good players. I suppose in a way I'm probably old enough to be their father, but still carry on like a bit of a loose cannon when I'm with them, and it's great. So it keeps me in a young sort of frame of mind as well. But I'm not into playing Call of Duty like they are, so that's probably the big difference. They'll spend 6-7 hours a day playing that, whereas I'm quite happy to sit in the hotel and watch Formula One.
Yeah, I might have to hit them up then and play a bit of Warzone, a bit of Call of Duty with them.
Oh, mate, they're on all the time. Minwoo Lee loves it. Jake loves it. Those
I know
boys
he does.
all the time in there smashing it.
It's a different thing. Yeah, well, Scrib was saying last week that you've, there's a pretty nice little tight-knit group over there. You guys will hang out and have lunch or have dinner or whatever together. Yeah,
it's great. I mean, obviously with the isolation of every event has been quite brutal. The first week you could only have breakfast, lunch and dinner with your caddy. And then they brought it to, we could have a group of 4, but for you couldn't all sit at the one table. You still had to sit at a table of 2. So you had to interchange. It was like a swingers dinner party.
Yeah, right. Speed dating.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean, just that sat there. You couldn't go and say, "Oh, Muzza, you want to have dinner?" Because he's not in your so-called pod. So you couldn't have dinner with him. You couldn't have lunch or anything. And I sort of understand how they're going with that, because if one of those guys in the 4 comes down with COVID, then the other 3 people have to isolate for 2 weeks. So that's the reason they did it, so the whole tour wouldn't have to isolate.
I suppose speaking of COVID, in 2020, being half a write-off, so to speak, but what impact did that have with yourself and around travelling as well? We talked about it a little bit earlier around your passport situation, but what impact did COVID have and on the travelling side of things as well?
Well, I finished in Qatar, went to Bangkok. I pulled out of Qatar, I was injured, went to see the doctors in Bangkok, and then my family was coming over for a holiday. So they arrived on the 20th of March and they shut everything down. So then we're stuck there because they cancelled all the flights. And then it got to a point in May where I just said to my wife, it's not good for the kids being stuck in the apartment and whatever. We just bought a flight, flew back here to Florida, and I didn't play golf, swing a club, didn't do anything for I think it was 62 days. That's the most I've ever gone without even swinging a club.
Right.
The travel-wise, I mean, things are going to change, obviously, but there was no reason for anyone to travel anyway because everything was shut and wasn't working. For me personally, being the long break from golf, I've really struggled to get going again. I mean, physically I feel like I'm okay, but mentally trying to get into a zone where I can actually focus and concentrate and play, I'm finding it really hard to get going again. So that's just something I've got to work at.
So how many COVID tests have you had, mate?
Yeah.
I've done one self-test. And then that was pretty awesome. Shove it up both nostrils for 10 seconds, turn it clockwise. I think I've got another test coming. We've got 2 test kits arriving on Tuesday. Myself and TC have to do a test in front of a guy on a camera on the computer. And then we send that off. We have to do a test before we arrive in New York. And then we got to go straight there and get another test once we arrive in New York. So I think I've done 6 total. And I did a blood test for antibodies, but I haven't had COVID, which is I wanted to check because I wasn't sure if I had it or not.
Yeah, interesting.
Have you had any close calls at all?
With what, mate?
With COVID and fellow players and that? Not
really, because like some medical experts that have treated me said, like COVID's a virus and it's a very opportunistic disease, shall we say. It just gets you when your body's run down or if you have immune compromised conditions or whatever. So a lot of the people I guess I hang around with are sort of robust, sort of have decent immune systems and whatever. So I guess I've just been fortunate that I haven't had to deal with such a thing.
Where's TC now?
Oh, he's right here in my neighbourhood. He's staying at my mate's house just down the road. They got 2 spare bedrooms. He's lucky because the air conditioner broke in the house here 2 days ago, so it's been great.
You guys get into a bit of banter on the course. How do you like having him on the bag? And what are his habits in getting you your mind on or mind off the game?
We've known each other forever. I mean, when he was playing professionally, we roomed together in Asia, so we know each other. We're totally polar opposites. It's a good thing. Sometimes it can be a bit of an annoyance as well because obviously with him being a past professional, he's quite opinionated in what he wants and what he thinks I should do. And then in the end, I just turn around and I just do what I think is the best because the boss makes the final decision and I've got to live with the outcome. But we seem to work quite well together and it's worked quite well for a long time.
And does he actively try and get your mind switched on, like in the banter that you guys have, or does he take you away from the game when it needs to happen? Or
no. So I think it's a difficult thing because sometimes it doesn't matter what somebody says to you. It's all up to you to switch on at the time you need to switch on. And there are days where I've been out there at the moment where there'll be a squirrel in the tree chewing on a nut and I can hear it. It's just, instead of focusing, just tuning out to everything. Just some days it's just, since we've come back, I've been really, really edgy. I just hear everything, I see everything, and that just comes down to focus. And in the end, you're the one who controls that.
So talking about the most, coming back and playing golf now since COVID break, are you missing crowds?
Oh, I never really had many crowds follow me anyway, so it's more of a point you miss being on the golf course when you're playing a tournament and especially on the weekend where you're somewhere around the mark and you can hear what's going on. Like if someone's playing a really good round or you're playing a really good round, it sort of attracts more the flow on the golf course. You can hear what's going on and that's a bit of an excitement that way. I guess it's like when you go to the footy and you can sort of feel the momentum of another team and the home crowd. It's a little bit like that, and it's just one of those things that you just love hearing.
You're a bit of a Lions fan, aren't
you? I am. I love the Brizzy Lions, mate. How good are they? This year, everyone keeps telling me they're going to be in the final this year. I was like, well, I'm not going to get my hopes up.
up there as well.
They will be up there.
Well,
and the grand final up there at the Gabba.
Yeah.
Well, I do love the MCG, but the Gabba's a pretty decent place, isn't it? No?
It is. But,
are you boys AFL fans?
Actually.
AFL or rugby fans?
I think we're probably more NRL fans, but I'm a Swans boy as well. But I think we're probably the NRL. For me, 60-40% is probably my swing.
And what's your team in the NRL?
Don't talk about
the Tigers. And who's your team, Steve-O? Because I was going to mention this tomorrow night, but who's your team, Steve?
That'll be Manly, mate.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I wouldn't have agreed to this if I'd have known that. I'm a Parramatta fan.
But that's all right, because we had our battle. We're battling for 9th place, and Manly thought they were going to take 9th place off us. But, we won at the death on the weekend, and just to remind them that it's our spot. 9th is our spot, all right?
Battling for peanuts, both of us, though, really.
I'll tell you what, Manly, when Jeff Tuvey played for Manly, I just detested Jeff Tuvey. I just thought he was a little grub. Just a little grub when he played, and I just didn't like that team at all. But I've always been a Broncos fan, Brisbane Broncos.
Yeah.
So what do you think when he got trodden on in the grand final then?
Oh, yeah.
You're bloody. Are you a Broncos fan then?
Yeah, I love the Broncos. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm a Broncos fan, but I was also I'm a Queensland Reds fan in the rugby union. But Brisbane Lions is pretty much where I'm at. That's my number one team in Australia.
Yep. Yeah, it is good. Sport's great, and I think it's going through a very interesting period at the moment with everything COVID related and no crowds, and the grand final up there is just going to be strange as well. But yeah, I was just wondering about the crowds thing, and if you're missing the crowds, and obviously we're going to talk about the US Open in a second, but obviously that's going to be bizarre with no crowds.
Oh, I'm going to miss the crowds there because especially if you're teeing off on Thursday afternoon, it's great because once you've had the crowds walking around for a couple of days, when you start hitting it really wide, you can still get a shot.
Yeah, the grass is all trodden down yet.
That isn't going to happen this year. So if you hit it wide, good luck, boys.
Yeah, there's some brutal wide rough shots at the moment where you normally have it all trampled down, but not at the moment. Looking into, we're going to talk majors. You've played in a number of huge events. You've played like 11 WGC events. You've played 3 US Opens, 4 Open Championships, 2 PGAs. Do you get pumped, nervous, anxious leading into those events more than another event?
Yeah, it's always exciting to be going to an event where you know that the best in the world are going to be there, and it's going to be one of the strongest fields you get to play in all the time. Personally, I try to figure out all the time how Tiger goes, I'm taking a week or two off to try and prepare for a major. I'm thinking, what's he actually doing? I mean, has he got the exact same grass in the backyard that they have on those greens, or what's he doing? Because I'm down here at TPC hitting balls every day, but it's a different grass to what I'm going to be playing on. I'm going to be playing on Poana greens at Wingfoot. Here we've got Bermuda grass. So it's always made me wonder what these top guys are doing to try and prepare for these majors, because obviously it's worked for Tiger because he's got a couple in the bag.
It'd be really cool to find out later on, I guess, what his preparation looked like going into it. And we're going to talk about your preparation in a second. There was one major there that we're missing off the list, the Masters.
Yeah, I wish.
How bad do you want the Masters start?
I'd love to. I mean, I think it was it 2 or 3 years ago, I finished 59th on the World Golf Ranking, and Hong Kong was one of the last events of the year for me to try and get to 50 in the world. I finished 59, and it was like, oh man, I missed the Masters, and I don't think I'm ever going to get there unless I manage to win a tournament somehow and get the exemption into the tournament. But that'd be an awesome place to go and play. If I was asked which one I want to win the most, I'd still have to say the Open Championship.
Yeah.
But to play in the Masters would just be fantastic. It'd be an awesome privilege.
Have you played Augusta?
Never. I was invited to play there with some guys from California. They'd take a group of 11, 12 guys over, and they'd go and play. A few of them members. Back in 2004, they said, "Do you want to come and play?" I went, "I'm not going to play there. I'm only going to play there if I get in the tournament." Bit of a mistake, I guess. Probably should have gone for the game.
Tell us about, I guess, when we talk about your history in the Open and, US Open, Open Championship, PGAs, what stands out to you when you think back about, is there anything that stands out to you when you think about major history and how you've gone in the past?
How poorly I've played stands out.
You went all right 2014 Open, didn't you? T16? Is that T10? That was the WGC.
No,
that was the WGC. Yeah, tied 42, tied 32, US Open.
I think my best finish is maybe a tie 32 at Wingfoot, 2006.
Okay.
I think if I look back on my major appearances, I would say if I had to rank it out of 1 to 10 in performance, I'd probably give it about a 3, which is a little disappointing because I think I owe it to myself. I'm a better golfer than the scores that I've shot in those tournaments, and I don't know what it is. Maybe I get there and try too hard, thinking I've got to do something different rather than just playing golf how you play golf. It's a frustrating thing, and not playing in, say, 3 or 4 of them a year is also a bit of a disadvantage because the guys that play 3 or 4 times a year, you watch them, they're obviously very good golfers, but they seem to be more relaxed and know what's going on and what to expect.
So how do we feel going into next week's US Open then? You've had a bit of an up and down prep going into it. How do we feel?
I feel pretty honoured and pretty lucky to be in the field. I mean, I wouldn't have been in the field unless I had qualified this year through the qualifier in Europe or here in the US. COVID has actually presented an opportunity for me to actually get a game in there from being off a money list on another tour. So I'm very lucky to get a start. I'm looking forward to it. Whether we have crowds or not, I'm really looking forward to it because it's a great golf course, and I know it's just going to be brutal, and we are going to get upset with ourselves because we're going to make silly bogeys. But that's what's awesome about it.
Well, tell us about the course. What should we be looking for as viewers? I guess like what are things? I mean, the US Open's known for them, pushing the limit on the golf course. Yeah. What are you expecting? Going into Wingfoot.
Well, after watching the PGA Tour the last couple of weeks in the playoffs and seeing how quick some of the greens were, and I've seen some clips from Wingfoot where guys have gone out and had a practice round. I'm expecting really firm greens and super quick greens, unless they get a lot of rain in the next week or so. So I'm looking to see greens that are super quick, super firm, and rough that's just mega juicy. I reckon you might be just chopping it out a little bit like they did at Oakmont when they played Oakmont a couple of years ago. I don't think it's going to be knee high, but I think the ball's going to be disappearing into the rough. And if you hit it in the rough and you got 180 between 150 to 180 to the green, you may not be able to get it near the green.
What's the weather looking like leading into it?
I'll be honest with you, I haven't even looked.
No.
I mean, it's just, if I give you a forecast, it's just a forecast. It doesn't mean it's going to be that. So I'm the sort of guy who wakes up in the morning, looks outside and goes, oh, yeah, it might rain today. I better put the wets on.
Yeah, I've got a question here from Michael John. He didn't give the permission, but we can still bring his question up. It says, what is your prep the fortnight before the US Open? Is it hitting balls or playing on the course to get a feel? And that's what take me through the preparation. What's it look like going into a US Open next week?
Well, right this very minute, if I was to tell you my preparation on the range you've ever seen, I had 14 drivers around my golf bag the other day, and I was going through test. Nope, that one's bad. This one's okay. And I was narrowing it down. I narrowed it down to 1 driver. I've just pulled 2 more out of the cupboard to take down today. I've been driving it less than poor. I've got 3 putters in my bag that I've been trying to get going. I mean, the whole break with COVID. I mean, I was driving it extremely bad before COVID came, and luckily for me, I did get to have a break. Otherwise, I'd probably only have a 3 wood in the bag right now.
They'd be snapping them.
Mate, it's horrendous. I mean, I know people see you drive a golf ball and go, oh, that's great. But when you're standing up on a golf course where the fairway is 16 yards wide and you've got rough on the left and rough on the right or water or whatever, you want to know whether you're going to be able to start it down the left and it's either going to go straight or fade, or start it down the right and it's either going to go straight or draw. You don't want to be aiming down the middle and go, is it going to go this way?
Yeah.
So I'm just back to trying to find a driver where I know the consistent shape. I mean, obviously we're human. We're not going to have a great swing all the time, but when you put a consistent swing on it, you want to see the ball falling the same way.
So you said there's 14 drivers you've got around you. Are they all the same model and then different specs within that model, or have you got multiple different models? How does that work?
Same shaft, but I went TaylorMade, Titleist, Ping, Callaway.
Just trying to.
I'm not contracted. Yeah, I'm not contracted. So I ask for a driver, or they give me a driver, and if I don't like it, I give it back to them. So I'm not running down the cash converters and making $50 on a driver. I'm not that desperate as yet, but it could come that way soon.
And the putters, what's the deal with the putters?
Odyssey, Scotty Cameron. Just trying to get a feel, and once again, when you stand over the ball. Especially to me, what's more important is from 5 feet. So if I'm 60 feet away from the hole, if I feel like I'm confident over 5 footers, then it makes the 60 footer a lot easier.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of getting the putter that feels consistent in the weight and then the feel off the face. Like it's not jumping too hard off the face, and it's not underspinning when it comes off. It sort of gets a little bit of a top spin when it comes off the putter.
Yeah. And do you tinker with too many of the other clubs in the bag? The mid irons, long irons,
no
wedges.
I've used the same Titleist 714 MB blades for ages. Wade Ormsby actually sourced a set in Adelaide for me, and I bought a second-hand set for $260. Pulled the shafts out of them, and I got the guys at European Tour to put some shafts into them because they don't make that club anymore, and I've only got one more set of heads left, and then I'm forced to make a change. So luckily Wade found those for me, and I said, mate, just get them. I'll give the guy the money for them.
All right, so if there's anyone out there sitting on a set, get in touch with Hendy. He can make a bit of money, as you just heard.
Yeah, if there's a wear mark in the toe or the heel, I don't want them.
Well, at least you know the center's doing well, though. If there's a wear mark in the toe and the heel.
Do you? What kind of wedges do you play?
I use the Vokey wedges.
And how often do you?
SM8.
Yeah, how often do you swap them out?
Oh, about 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah, right.
Especially if we play a lot of tournaments in Asia, you change out even more because of the composition of the ground. I mean, it's so gravelly and it wears the clubs down a lot quicker.
Right.
Yeah, gotcha.
So we're working out our clubs at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Then what do we do? When do we head up to New York?
Well, we're flying up on Sunday. So we'll fly up on Sunday. We'll grab our. I mean, it's so good. You just fly up there. They pick you up from the airport. They take you over to the Players Hotel, which I'm not going to stay at because it's $270 a night. We're going to go stay at the Sheraton down the road for 118. They give you a Lexus car to drive around all week, free of charge. We'll just do our PCR test on Sunday. They shove the thing up your nose, and once we've got the good to go, Monday we'll go and play 9 holes. Probably play 9 holes on Tuesday and play 9 holes on Wednesday, and bang, we'll be ready to go on Thursday, hopefully.
And for us that don't get to see that side of it, how does that work? You play 9 holes Monday. Do you have to put your name down a certain time? How do you work out who you're playing with? How does that happen? Yeah,
generally there's a timesheet that you put your name down on, but if Sundays you're just there, and if there's say Cam Smith and Mark Leishman when they're on a 2-ball and they go, do you want to come join us? Yeah, no worries. Just walk over and tee it up, as long as there's not 3 names on the sheet. So I guess normally when you show up to a major, there's a starter on the tee for the practice rounds, and he puts on the board. They usually got on the scoreboard what time a player teed off and what hole they'd be on now, so the crowd can go out and watch the practice round. But there's going to be no crowd, so I guess it might work a bit differently.
And is there anyone you're looking forward to catching up with? You mentioned Leash and Cam Smith. Like, is there anyone there that you're looking forward to catching up with next week?
Just heaps of guys. I wouldn't say I'm great friends with everybody, but I know a lot of guys, and it's just nice to say hello. Just say, how you going, mate? What's been happening? How you been? Just to see guys that you haven't seen for ages. And obviously I'm there to play golf, so it's not like you're there having a big social aspect of it, but it's still nice to say hello to the guys you haven't seen for a while.
And then when do you find out who you're with on the first round and what time you've got for Thursday?
That's a good question. I'm guessing the draw. But they usually do the draw quite early, so maybe Wednesday. They might have the tee times out on this coming Wednesday. I'm not really up to date with how they operate on those things.
And is that a big moment for you? Do you like who you're playing with? Do you take that, seriously? Not seriously, I guess, but is it a big thing who you're playing with in that round?
Sometimes it is. Most times it isn't. I mean, if you pair with a notoriously slow player who's just going to be painful to deal with, then you just got to try and get it into your head that this is going to be slow, this is going to be painful, and just deal with it.
Are the majors slower than a regular tournament?
Only because you're looking for your ball a lot more.
And no crowd there to look for it.
That's going to be. I'll tell you what, it's going to be brutal. I hope they've got some decent
good spotters out there. Yeah, they're going to have a million spotters out there. Do we have some shoes ready for next weekend, mate?
What have I got? I just got the pink and black ones.
Those pink ones, was it St Andrews? You wore the pink ones with the pink vest?
Yeah. Well, they were the black ones with the pink on them, but I've actually got full pink ones as well. So I even spoke to my man in Italy about getting new shoes. I've just got nice shoes, mate. Nice.
Tell me about these. Tell the listeners about these shoes.
Well, they're Raimondi shoes, handmade Italian classics. They're like the old FootJoy Classic. They've got the leather sole, and then he puts rubber on them as well. So leather and rubber, and they're fully handmade leather. So he measured my foot. So he just goes, "Do you like this pair?" I said, "Yeah, it's great." He goes, "I'll send them to you." So, I'm here in Florida, and 3 pairs of shoes show up, put them on down the range, practice, bang, we're away. It's great.
Do you and Miguel talk about your shoes? And
I don't talk to Miguel about anything.
Well, is that 700 and whatever tour starts?
Yeah, you'd think you'd know better after that when he starts, wouldn't you?
And I didn't mention before about the Olympics. So I just want to quickly touch base about representing Australia in the Olympics. Where does that stand? Looking back on all the things you've accomplished. 2016.
It's something nobody can ever take that away from you. I mean, you're an Australian representative. There's nothing better than representing your country, especially being representative at the Olympics. I mean, it's a great honour, and it's something that's going to, be in my memories forever. Was unbelievable. With Finchy being the captain of the team and being there with Fraser, and then having my brother-in-law caddy for me, and then having Jason, Fraser's mate, caddy for him. It was just a great time. It was a great effort. It was awesome. Fraser played fantastically. I had a double par at the Olympics as well, so it's been great.
That was Rio. What did you think of Rio?
We didn't go out much, mate, because they advised us because of the security issues to stay where you were and just do what you did. So we flew in late. We flew out straight afterwards, and we didn't really do much of the sightseeing sort of stuff. But we didn't have any issues, and I had a great time. It was awesome to go to the village, and Fraser and I walked into the gym area where the athletes were working out. Yeah, we both looked at each other and went, "No, it's not for us."
It's a little bit out of place, mate.
It was. There's some specimens, absolute specimens in that gym.
Did you? I mean, they talk about. Do you think golf deserves a spot at the Olympics?
It's a tough one because if tennis is there, why shouldn't golf be there? And if golf is there, why shouldn't 10-pin bowling be there? Yeah, it's sort of one of those things because, at the time when they first came out and said golf is going to be in the Olympics, I sat there and went, well, really, us guys as professional golfers, should we be involved? Shouldn't it be the top amateurs in the world? Doing it? It's a debate that's always current and people arguing about it. So I don't think it's ever going to change. People are going to keep saying, this shouldn't be this and this should be that. But in saying that, I was fortunate enough to be one of the guys that was there doing it, and I didn't have control over that.
Yeah. Amazing experience.
And what's plans for the rest of 2020, mate? What's happening for the rest of this year?
Oh, well,
once he wins the US Open.
Yeah.
everything changes.
That'll change a few things.
I already told Orsby, I said, if I win the US Open, he'll be the second person I call, and then he won't see me for about 3 months because I will be absolutely hammered.
You do a Dusty Martin and just go missing, leave the car at the MCG for 4 months or whatever.
Mate, I'll tell you, I'll be. You won't see me. I'll be done. People will be leaving messages. Can we get an interview? Sorry, mate. Yeah. Sorry, I can't even. I'll have to get someone else to read the message on the phone. Yeah. I'll be that out of it.
Come on, mate. You'll be back on here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Mate, I might even go to Vegas and do a Dustin Johnson.
That's it. We'll meet you over there. So what does?
I was just going to say, so outside of rest of 2020, what are the aspirations for you? Where do you want to sort of end up in terms of, is the Asian tour where you want to keep going, or head over to the US?
I want to play Europe. Like we said before, way earlier, I've got 3 years until I'm 50. I'd love to play in Europe until I'm well into my 50s, if I'm obviously good enough and producing decent sort of scores. Asia is always going to be there for me because I'm second career money list, so I'll get a start. For the remainder of this year, we've got to wait and see what the European Tour does in the schedule. It's quite difficult at the moment because they want to go and play in places, but all these restrictions for COVID and so forth sort of makes it a lot difficult. So we'll just see how it goes. I can only do what the European Tour says and see what's happening with that.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Thank you. Anything else, Steve? Did you have anything to add? Or
no, I was going to say there's a bit of housekeeping going on in the background there for you.
Hey,
stop cleaning.
Hey, I'll talk to the missus. Hey, if you're going to sweep stuff, go and vacuum as well, will you? Got some washing in there too. They're white.
Well, there's our promo clip, Steve.
All good, mate. Yeah, I think Nate was going to wrap up in terms of thanking you.
I can't thank you enough for jumping on. I mean, a couple of weeks out from US Open and, early morning.
Sorry, she just walked in here with a broom. It looks like when you ride. I know you're outside, but these boys are hearing all this. Come on. This is professional.
That's right. There's no mucking around here.
Semi-bloody professional.
We've got some questions for her in a sec. She could jump on. We'll talk about that staff bag you made her carry. Yeah, mate. Thanks for coming on. I was going to say tonight, but you're morning over there, and we really appreciate it. And mate, I can't wait to see US Open wing footed. I hope you really come out of the tournament happy with how you've played and everything else.
Hopefully, no double pars.
He'll be watching. Don't worry, I'm sure he will.
So thanks for joining us, Hendy, and hopefully we can catch up with you in the near future and have a further chat. When you come back to surfacing after you win the US Open.
My pleasure, boys. It's been great.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Hendy.
Cheers, Hendy. That was awesome. Yeah, absolute legend. That was really, really cool. I think we went through a fair bit there, and there was a lot to go through. There's probably stuff that we didn't quite cover off. I'm sure we could probably fill another hour of chatting to Hendy. Great bloke to chat with, mate. Down to earth as all the Aussies we've had a good chat with so far on these live chats.
That's right. I mean, there was some questions about how many swingers dinner parties Hendy's been to. I think Hendy was mentioned in the swinger space. So there was a couple of comments in there that we'll have to leave for another episode. But I just think it's surreal. Like I love doing this gig at the moment, and some of the people we've spoken to are just amazing. And I always finish and think that I've just spoken to a guy that's just about to play in the US Open. It's quite incredible what he's doing and what he's done in his career. And he's a dead set legend. And it was so good getting to chat to him and, down to earth, open. You can ask him anything. There's probably more questions I left off that I'll have to ask him next time. Yep.
Loved it. It was brilliant. Yep. Looking forward to getting this out on the podcast and listening to it, listen back to it. Love it.
100%, definitely. That's a good way to wrap it up. Like, obviously if we're going to listen back to it again and you want to listen to the conversation again, which I've done for most of them, this is one of those ones that I'd love to listen to just as a listener this time and take it all in because it went really quick. We spoke an hour tonight and like you said, we could have spoken for much longer.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, wrapping up, I hope everyone, all the listeners out there, had a great Father's Day. All the guys that are on here, all the boys. So, wrapping up. Make sure that we'll do our podcast tomorrow night. We're going to do that because we've obviously got the delayed start with the Tour Championship finishing on a Tuesday morning for us. So we'll do that tomorrow night. Wrap everything up.
Yeah, that's going to have an exciting finish tomorrow. I mean, DJ's sort of taking it out again.
Well, I hope it has an exciting finish.
His gaff on the field is obviously still there, but I think there's some players within a few shots of him. So, yeah, looking forward to getting stuck into that tomorrow morning when it comes on.
Yeah, and plenty exciting news all around that we've got to talk about, and obviously Corn Ferry, another Aussie winner, which is great. So we'll explore that and much more. We're going to talk about music on the golf course, and if it has a place. And there's a few other controversial things we'll talk to as well. So thanks for joining us tonight, or if you're listening on our podcast, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned to all our upcoming, and we'll announce who our next interviewee is quite soon.
Sounds good. Cheers.
Too good. All right, guys. We'll hopefully see you next Tuesday or Monday or Sunday, or we'll work it out and let you know. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.